In a world where power is everything and trust is a dangerous game, how far would Obinna go to claim what he believes is his? It was a rainy day in Enugu, as the drops beat the wide glass windows of the luxury penthouse in Independence layout, echoing the turbulence within Chijioke's chest. Across the polished mahogany table, his twin brother, Obinna, casually traced the rim of his crystal wine glass with an elegant finger. The city lights of Enugu shimmered below, a dazzling testament to their father's sprawling business empire, Udoka Enterprises, which both brothers were desperate to control. "He's not getting any younger, Chijioke," Obinna said, his voice smooth yet laced with an unmistakable menace. "And the will? Well, you know how Papa is. To be divided equally between my sons, conditional upon their continued harmony and mutual agreement in all major decisions." "Harmony? With you?" Chijioke tensed. Their father, Ozomena, is a business mogul with a reputation as unyielding as the family's traditions, had always fostered competition between them. Obinna, with his charm and relentless ambition, was often seen as their father's ideal heir. Chijioke, contemplative and methodical, had always felt like the outsider. "So, what's your plan, Obinna?" Chijioke asked, his gaze sharp. He already knew the answer. They had skirted this topic before during late-night arguments. Obinna smirked, his piercing eyes a mirror image of Chijioke's, but colder, sharper. "We remove the condition. We remove the problem." The words hung in the air like a curse. Chijioke felt a pang of unease. He had dreamed of freedom from their father's suffocating influence, but this suggestion felt like crossing a line he wasn't sure he could stomach. "You're not talking about," Chijioke began, his voice barely audible. "Don't be naive," Obinna cut in, his tone dismissive. "It's not murder. It's speeding up the inevitable. Papa will never step down willingly. This is the only way." Reluctantly, Chijioke found himself drawn into Obinna's plan. Over the following weeks, they met in Obinna's lavish apartment in the heart of Enugu to finalize the details. Obinna handled the logistics, procuring a tasteless, odorless poison. Chijioke, though hesitant, allowed himself to be carried along, justifying it as a necessary evil for the greater good. Their father, oblivious, continued to run Udoka Enterprises with an iron grip, oblivious to the conspiracy brewing under his roof. On the chosen night, the storm outside mirrored the turmoil within Chijioke. He watched as Obinna slipped the poison into their father's favorite palm wine. When Ozomena finally slumped in his armchair, the patriarch's last breath escaping like a whisper, Chijioke felt a strange mix of relief and revulsion. In the aftermath, they presented a united front. At the funeral, Obinna delivered an emotional eulogy, while Chijioke remained stoic. But as they began managing Udoka Enterprises together, the cracks in their alliance widened. Obinna, always the more aggressive, soon saw Chijioke as a liability. One evening, as rain lashed against the penthouse windows, he invited his brother over for a drink. "We did it, Chijioke," Obinna said, raising his glass. "We're finally free." "It doesn't feel like freedom," Chijioke replied, his voice heavy with regret. "That's because you're weak," Obinna sneered. "And weak links need to be eliminated." Chijioke saw the flash of a knife too late. The struggle was swift, brutal, and ultimately fatal for Chijioke. Obinna, victorious, stood over his brother's lifeless body, his ambition finally unshackled. But Obinna's triumph soon attracted Isabella, a woman whose beauty and sharp intellect matched his ambition. Isabella swept into his life, effortlessly navigating his world of luxury and intrigue. She was unlike anyone Obinna had ever met, charming, quick-witted and utterly magnetic. Her warmth seemed genuine, her laughter disarming, and Obinna found himself entrusting her with his deepest secrets. "You're the only one I can truly trust, Isabella," he said one evening, his voice heavy with emotion. "You understand me like no one else does." Isabella would smile, her dark eyes sparkling, but there was always a trace of something unreadable in her expression. Patiently, she listened to his confessions, gently prying for details about his holdings, the empire he had worked so ruthlessly to secure. As weeks turned to months, Obinna became increasingly infatuated. Isabella was his muse, his confidant, and his partner in every way that mattered, or so he believed. He lavished her with gifts, diamond necklaces, bespoke outfits, and private getaways. He even considered naming her a board member in Udoka Enterprises. One evening in the lavish dining hall of their estate, Obinna proposed. "Isabella," he began, kneeling before her, "you've brought a light into my life that I didn't know I needed. Marry me. Let's build something extraordinary together." Isabella's lips curled into a radiant smile, and she nodded. "Of course, Obinna. You've given me so much. How could I ever say no?" Their wedding was the social event of the year, a grand spectacle attended by Nigeria's elite. Yet, despite the opulence, a shadow lingered in Obinna's heart. Isabella had grown distant in recent weeks, taking hushed phone calls late at night and avoiding his questions. Then came the morning she was gone. Obinna woke to find her side of the bed empty, her closet cleared out, her jewelry missing. On the bedside table lay a single white envelope addressed to him. His hands trembled as he opened it. The note was brief. "Thank you for everything, Obinna. You were a means to an end. Don't try to find me. Consider this a business transaction." Beneath the message was a copy of the transfer documents. Isabella had siphoned the majority of his assets, including controlling shares of Udoka Enterprises, into an offshore account. Obinna sank to the floor, the realization hitting him with the force of a landslide. He had betrayed his own blood for power and wealth, only to be outsmarted by the one person he had trusted completely. The estate felt emptier than ever, its vast halls echoing with the ghosts of his past. Alone and ruined, Obinna finally understood the price of his ambition, a legacy built on betrayal, now lost to the shadows of his choices.